Guys, you know I have a lot of knives. We've talked about this a bunch of times. You've seen a ton of knives on this channel. And for the most part, they're all pretty normal, mundane, everyday carry knives. But I do have a handful of outlying weird ones. So what we're going to look at is 5 of the weirder knives that I own. So let's turn us around and take a look at these 5 weirdos from above. All right, guys, like I said in the intro, I've picked out 5 of the weirdest knives I own, and we are going to start with this very one on top because, well, it's really, really weird. So let's get all this other stuff out of the way. And it's this weird Uzi brand knife. Now, I don't really have a name or anything for it, but the weird thing about this is you look at this and you're like, well, what's so weird about it? It's a fixed blade, but it's not. So inside this sheath is a hybrid between a fixed blade and a folding knife. It's basically got a lock mechanism inside of it that takes this knife and it locks it open. And then these 2 little pins on the sheath are what does it. Now, this really isn't all that great. So this is a Moser designed Cryo Edge. It's done by Uzi Knives. Now, this is a USA made knife, and it's interesting and cool, but it suffers from a lot of problems. Like, I don't really know how much I trust the lock on this. And then it's also weird because of like the way you got to stick it in there and it just locks back down in on itself. Now, it is an innovative concept, but it's not a great execution. Now, I will say the sheath, done interesting. You've got these straps where you can strap it to your gear. They're long enough that I believe you could probably put this on your ankle or on your wrist if you wanted to carry it that way. But it is definitely weird. I'd never seen anything like this. So what does it do? Well, it gets you a way to carry a knife in a smaller package and then have a full-sized knife, much akin to like a folding knife does, where you have a small package and you open it up and you have a full-size knife. So I don't think it really gets you anywhere. It is definitely weird. I do enjoy the concept of it. And I mean, it's not a horrible blade. Like I said, I just don't trust the lock mechanism to be really good. There is a good bit of blade play in this and stuff like that, which I would not expect in a fixed blade, but it is fun. So let's go ahead and move on to the next knife that is weird and interesting. And it's this Gilhibben double shadow dagger that Poor Decision Mike bought for me for a birthday present with points that we had. This one is a lot of fun. This is a knife that I got emotional when I got this knife and I did the video about it. But it is weird because it's not a very functional knife. Now, this knife has been popular in movies and stuff like that. It's just a dagger and it's just split down the middle. And Gilhibben did a lot of really fantasy knives. And this is one I absolutely loved, and I got myself one with points. And I mean, it's weird because, like, why split this? And I mean, but it has, like I said, it has had some popularity in movies and things like that, but it is a lot of fun. The other thing that's weird about it is how heavy this is compared to a lot of other knives. I wouldn't expect it to be this heavy, but this is the Hellfire version. And as you can see, you're about to hear the ice machine, sorry. You've seen this a lot of times in a lot of movies and stuff like that, and it absolutely is cool. It doesn't have any real functional purpose, but it is fun. And Gil made a lot of unique fantasy knives. We did a whole bunch of Gilhibben knives on the channel here not too long ago, fantasy knives and things like that. But yeah, just an overall weird, crazy design. And then the sheath on it is weird as well. There's holes that go all the way through the sheath that mirror the holes that are on the knife. So not just weird, but also a lot of fun. I dig this a lot. This harkens back to my teenage years, high school years. I always wanted one of these. There was a whole Shadows series of knives that they did. But I mean, you just can't deny the cool factor that this knife has going for it. But I mean, it's basically just a single dagger that they just ran it down. This is just like basically running it down a cut saw blade or like a grinder blade, and just cut a groove in it and then cut that out. So weird, yes. A lot of fun, yes. Do I love it? Absolutely. So let's move on to one that's not just weird, but I don't know if it even qualifies as a knife. And it's this. It's listed as a knife. It's also listed as an OTF switchblade ice pick. It is the Guardfather. Now, these were like 50 bucks at one point. I think I saw them for like $20 on Blade HQ at one point. And it's simply, it's a switchblade ice pick. That's all it is. It is, I mean, this only has one purpose, and it's nefarious. But it's weird because, like, I don't understand where this concept came from. Now, it is a lot of fun. It's basically just a button lock spring activated thing. You can cover up your spring here. You can take it apart and clean it up. And I mean, it's just a tube of aluminum that's got these knurled areas here, and it's meant to duplicate the look of a pen. So you could put this in your pocket, you could carry it. But I mean, if anybody gave it a cursory glance at best, they would see that that is not an ink pen, but you simply would turn this. Now, this was meant to be, I think this was designed to be a self-defense tool. I don't see it being that great. And the problem with a lot of them is, as time goes on, they don't lock up as you would want. This one has a tendency to not want to lock all the way. So I need to take it apart and clean it up. But these were sold for a while. I got this one, I want to say I got this one when I first retired. It was a gift from somebody back in 2009. I had just retired from the military, and somebody gave me this. And I never have carried it, as you can tell by how pristine it looks, because I was like, well, one, it's illegal in California. And two, it really doesn't serve a purpose for me, but it is fun. And it's something that I've kept over the years. I don't understand who this is for, because I know it's not for me, but it is kind of cool. It's unique, it's interesting and odd, but I don't even know if it qualifies as a knife, like I said. So let's go ahead and get on to the next one. This is the Spyderco Q, and it's not just the regular Spyderco Q. The Spyderco Q was a weird knife to begin with because of the lock mechanism and like how the pocket clip and stuff on it. But this is even weirder because this one has just been completely laser etched to the point that there's just almost no knife left. Now, the weird thing about it was this lock. It had this ambidextrous lock on it, and it had this ambidextrous pocket clip and tip up, tip down, all that stuff. It was made in the USA by Spyderco, but here's where it was weird. All of this led to, you could just basically pull this pocket clip out and put it on the other side of the knife. You didn't require any tools, which was kind of neat, but it's also very unique. And then the lock mechanism on it it's interesting. It just kind of is this lift up wire that's made out of the same material as this. You can see it even has the same like offset for the spring mechanism on it. And you can it just drops in and then you just lift up. It's an ambidextrous lock. And then the weirdness of the heavy milling. Now I'm going to explain to you, if you haven't seen this in one of my videos before, this was sent to knife stores and it was to be put in their display. These weren't for sale. These sat in a display, and then this knife was on the cover of a magazine and it was in the display case, and this was for the 20th anniversary of Blade magazine. And then there was a miniature version of the magazine that almost looked like a baseball card, and then the Spyderco knives would sit in the case below it, and then this sat above that 20th anniversary Blade magazine. So this is a fairly rare knife, and it was never meant for sale to the general public. But it is interesting, and it definitely is weird. It is one of the weirdest knives I own. It almost, like, if you have this in your hand, you almost can't feel the weight of it because it is just incredibly light. So some cool elements to it. This was just kind of, I think, an exercise in showing what Spyderco could do with the laser cut on this blade, because that is done with a laser, not with a mill. It's all lasered out and things like that. And then, like I said, with this unique pocket clip system that they had on it. So there you go, guys. This one is weird. Let's move on to some less weird ones. And we're going to get progressively less weird as we go down. But this is kind of weird to me because this is a throwback to an older style knife. This is the cold steel Kudu. And why I find it strange is it is one of the few knives that you can still get that has this unique ring lock on it like this, which is a very, very good lock. I'm not saying this is a bad knife. It's a great knife. It's just a little strange to me because it is such a big knife. I mean, it is well over 9 inches. It's closer to 10, to tell you the truth. And it's a very good knife. It's just, it seems weird to me. Now, this is based off of a knife a small knife that you can get in South Africa. I remember Lynn Thompson talking about it. He made a trip to South Africa and he'd seen these and he decided to make a quality version of it, which this is. This is a very good, very reliable, very sturdy knife, but these are very cheap. And it's a good cutting knife. The other thing that's weird about it is it's not a knife you can easily carry out of character for cold steel, which is why I found it weird. But the weirdest part is this lock, and this lock is something that they could have definitely updated and maybe put a rocker lock, almost also like a back lock or a triad lock on. I know that would make it more expensive, but it's got this ratcheting opening system and it drops down in there, which means that then when you pull up on this, it disconnects from that lock. It's just, I don't know. I've always found this to be a weird offering from a company that is really well known for trying to give you like folding knives with triad locks and things like that, and the overbuilt, sharpest knives that you could get. And this just really isn't that. I found it weird. It's not a bad knife. None of the knives, well, I mean, none of the knives are bad. They're just interesting, but I do like this and I do carry this. I just find it unique. So let's go ahead. Oop, I threw it too far. Let's go ahead and move on to the next knife. Like I said, progressively less weird as we go down the list. And this is the K-Bar TDI, and this is a kind of a weird one. Now, I do like this knife. As you can see, I've had it customized. I had a custom pattern put on the handles. But what makes it weird is just the design of this knife overall. It's not a Pikal. It's not a hawkbill. It is done to be like a secondary weapon for police and military, so that you could carry this weak hand and you could just pull this out of your sheath just like you would pull your firearm. And it's got this weird cant to it. It definitely was a unique offering. I don't know how popular these were. Now, this was an item that I had from the military. I was issued this, and we had actual training on how to carry it and how to use it, and I never did. None of these knives it never got carried. As you can see, it never really got carried. But there's an institute in Ohio where this came from. I can't remember what TDI stood for. Tactical Defense Institute, I believe. And they came up with this concept, and it was a self-defense, second chance weapon for police and military, and they taught how to use it. It is really comfortable in hand, I have to admit, but it doesn't serve a purpose. Like, this is not a knife you use for every day for like cutting open packages and things like that. This is simply a tool for defensive purposes. And the way it sat on your belt with this clip, I'm not a fan of this clip, by the way, but it sat on your belt like this. And like I said, you would just take it out and then you could just grab a hold of it like this. Really good retention on this, but weird in the fact that it just, unlike all my other knives, does not serve a purpose for me. Now, if you carry it in reverse grip, it does act a lot like a karambit. If you carry it, say you carry this on the right-hand side as opposed to the left-hand side like it was designed, if you're right-handed, or if you're left-handed, vice versa, when you pull it out, you can grab it like this because the handle will lean forward on your opposite side. And then you can pull it out and use it like a karambit, or, well, more like a karambit than a Pikal. So yeah, just a unique one. It's not as weird as the other ones. So there you go, guys. Like I said in the video, weird doesn't always mean bad. Like that cold steel Kudu is an amazing knife for the price. It's probably the best cheap knife you're going to find. And I don't mean just budget. Like, it is cheap. It is under it's under $10 a lot of times if you catch them on sale. So they're a lot of fun. I just thought we would look at them. You guys seem to like these compilation videos. Just thought I'd throw one out real quick. Guys, that's it on this one. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon, do all that stuff. Check out the affiliate links down below. They support the channel. Nothing down there costs you anything at checkout. And not even the Amazon store. Take that one, pin it to your browser, and use it for all your Amazon shopping. And speaking of not costing you extra, as a matter of fact, 2 of those links, Coffee Brand Coffee and Tempered Trail, have a discount built into them. 10% off your order just by using that link. Some of the best coffee you're going to find at Coffee Brand Coffee. Awesome outdoor laces for your hiking boots, and hand-stitched wallets over at Tempered Trails. I also have a membership down below if you want to support the channel that way. You can also save 10% at checkout at Fair and Forge Knife Works, KATSU Knives, and Rosecraft Blades with coupon code crazysharp. All one word, all lowercase. There is a public Discord down below. It says join the community. Lots of stuff going on there. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I'll see you in the next video.